Hello, this is Randy Stone in Tallahassee, Florida. I have been thinking lately, since my granddaughter Hannah launched the YouTube channel for me. Um, After much thinking and praying about things that I've been seeing and hearing um, online, uh, around the world, things that are happening, um, that it's time for me to say some things and tell things um, that I know about and things that have happened in my life. And I would like to share them with people um, that would maybe appreciate it and get something from it. I mean, everybody out there has something to offer. And I think about the book of Joel in the Bible, in the Holy Word. We have scriptures that indicate that in the last days that God will pour out his spirit upon all flesh, and that your sons and daughters would prophesy, and old men would dream dreams, young men would see visions. These things would take place, and we're in the midst of these now. When you can turn on YouTube or Facebook or anything of that nature, and you can see um, this readily happening. People sharing their heart, um, seemingly with a greatly they are compelled to do this for some reason at this stage in history. Um, I'm in my mid 60s, and I've seen a lot in my lifetime. I can remember very distinctly the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. I know where I was at. I know what I was doing. It forever impacted my life as a child. Um, Seeing and hearing our nation go through these things, and now we're at this point. Um, my wife and I both have lost our parents. So we think about what they went through before we had to share things like this in this life. But now we have a mode of communication where we can let other people know what has happened. And I thank God for this. I thank God for this opportunity just to be able to share my heart with other people. I don't know, what some may say about things that I will tell, but I know them to be the truth. I have witnesses that lived through it with me, that can verify the things that I will tell you. Um, and I just feel like it's time that people should know uh, that we're drawing near, very near, to the time that Jesus will come. And I'm so glad that Jesus Christ had mercy on me and saved me. I'm so glad that he brought me out of tradition and superstition and religion, and he brought me to himself. It's about relationship, is to know him as a son or as a daughter of God. The Bible declares that Jesus Christ came to his own, and his own received him not. But to as many as received him gave he the power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Yeshua HaMashiach, the Christ. I believe that Jesus is the Christ, the only one, the only Son of God, and he has come and revealed himself. I was saved when I was 10 years old. I remember in a Wednesday night church service, I was raised, my mother would take my sister and I to church, and on a Wednesday night, the pastor preached in an old country church. And I can remember that Wednesday night he preached like it was Easter Sunday morning. He preached on the death of Jesus Christ. He preached about how he suffered on the cross and how he died. And as that man began to talk about this, I could see it. It was like he was painting a portrait. I could see him painting. It was like a painter painting an oil painting. And I began to weep when I understood what Jesus Christ went through for me as a child. I wasn't but 10 years old, but it had a great impact. And I came forward to the altar. Some of the ladies in the church saw me weeping and asked me would I like to go pray, and I did. And the pastor prayed with me, and God saved me at that point. And I know that my name was written down in the Lamb's Book of Life. Jesus Christ saved me. And he saved me from sin. That's the thing we have to begin to understand, that we're born in sin. We come into this life. David said, in sin, my mother had me and brought me forth. We were born in sin. We come into this life a little sinner, and we become a big, large sinner the older we get. And I would like to say that at 10 years old, getting saved, that I lived the rest of my life without incident, but that's not true. That's not true facts. I drifted far away from God and become disoriented with the church and what I knew about the church for myself. I saw so much hypocrisy. I saw so much evil and things that were going on with people in the church that by the time I was a teenager, I had drifted off from God. And not until I was 20 years old and I had gone into the military. And I stayed in the military for a decade. And when I was 20 years old, the Lord had mercy on me, and he showed up in my life when I was far away from him, drifting far away, and didn't care to go to church, didn't care to hear anything about God, didn't want to know nothing about him. And woke up one Sunday morning in an apartment complex in Summerville, South Carolina. And I was there, stationed there at a military installation in Charleston, South Carolina. And I remember getting up, and my wife was still in bed, and I got up and went to take a shower. It was Sunday morning. And I had no thought of going to a church or doing anything like that. It was not on my mind whatsoever. And that Sunday morning I got up and was taking a shower. And as I turned the water off and grabbed my towel, I heard a voice call my name. And it sounded like it was way off outside. And it came right up inside of me, into me, inside of my very core of my being. I heard my name called. And that voice that I heard was the eternal voice of God. And that voice called my name, and I thought, well, out of the maybe thousands, perhaps, of persons that's called Randy Stone on the face of this earth, they could be other people named Randy Stone, that I knew that he was talking to me. And it demanded a response from me in my innermost being. I heard it. It sounded like a big giant waterfall, and I was right at the crevices of it. It was like millions of voices calling my name. And I looked and I said, yes, Lord. I said, I'll go today. So God had reached into my innermost thoughts, things that I wouldn't even in my subconscious. He reached way down in within me and called my name. And I said, yes, Lord. I said, I'll go today. And wasn't anything that was on my mind. And I stepped out, and my wife come running into the bathroom. She said, what was that? She heard something. She heard it. She didn't know what it was. And I looked at her and I said, it was God. She said, what? And I said, yes. I said, it was God. She said, well, what did he say? I said, well, he called my name. And I said, I'm going to church. She said, get the baby ready. So my wife, she said she couldn't go. So I went to church that morning and began to learn and begin to hear about Jesus Christ and what he did. The first church that I saw, I turned the wheel on the car and went in there and went to see what was being said. And then I started looking into it for myself. And at that point, I had heard God, and nobody couldn't tell me that God wasn't real. Nobody could convince me that there wasn't a living and true God. So I had heard him for myself and knew that he was alive. That this same Jesus Christ that was crucified was alive. And nobody didn't have to tell me. I knew that he was alive and he was coming back. And that was the thing that scared me. It caused me to fear and tremble, was that there was so many that was not ready. Not outside of the church, but inside of the church. People were not ready to meet God. And for this I wept and I cried many days. I knew that people were not ready to meet God, should God call or come for them, as I was. But God got me ready, and I made up my mind at that moment that I was going to do everything within my power to make sure that other people heard that Jesus Christ was alive and well, and he was coming back to this earth. And he's looking for a bride. He's looking for a people that love him. And I started seeking God with all my heart and with all that was within me. And God began to take me on a great journey. I was 20 years old at the time. And not long after that, God began to show me things that I had no idea that he could do. And he took me on a journey. And some of these things later on I'll be discussing with you and be presenting to you in these videos. Because I want people to know, I want a record when I'm gone that people can look at and say, this is true. This is what this man encountered. This is what he knew. And I want people to know that I know Jesus Christ is my personal Savior, that he redeemed me from sin. I was deep in sin when he found me. I was far away from God when he called my name that day in the shower. I've never been the same since that day. There wasn't a preacher pleading for me to come down and accept Christ. It was the true and living God, the Ancient of Days, that come to me and revealed himself to me. So I have an obligation to tell people what God has done for me. And I want to be sharing some of these things, and I want to make this video short, so I'm going to be cutting it off soon. Today being September the 12th. In the next video, I want to share something that happened in 2001 on September the 10th, 2001. I want to tell you where I was at and what went on 9/11 that year. God bless you. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later. Thank you.